I think that a lot of our conversation today, though, I'm going to bring this back a little bit further. A lot of the conversation today, whether it's CO2, whether it's avgas, whether it's student pilot starts, whatever it is, it gets back to what is the future of general aviation in the United States. And I think that regardless of what the specific issue, the answer in a lot of cases is something that Rod touched on earlier. And that is that idea that everyone who's part of our community can be an ambassador and an advocate for our community. The general aviation community in the United States is not huge, but it's not insignificant. We're 600,000 pilots. We're 1.2 million employees. We're 5,000 general aviation airports. And when you look at those individuals and when you look at those communities and start thinking of family and friends, it starts to become pretty significant. And the thing is, we've got a really good story to tell about who we are and why we are essential to our nation. And if we can get that out there, that this is something that is fundamentally good, something that's good for America in every respect, we're going to have a lot better success when we go and talk about why we need to work with the government at finding solutions that both achieve a government goal, lowering our environmental footprint, and facilitating general aviation in the United States. And I think we've got a real opportunity to do that, but it requires us to constantly be looking for ways to tell the story, to, as a community, find out who's doing a good job of doing that, and how do we repeat that? How do we make it marketable? Andrew talked about how do we take the best industry practices of student pilot starts and go talk about those. I would say that we have additional opportunities. We've seen, for example, career days, things that airport communities are doing to try to bring in students, get them excited about a career in aviation. Well, what does this do? Hopefully it brings new people into our industry, a new generation, but it also improves the relationship with the community. So if Westchester Aviation Association has a strong career day, how do we repeat that in Dallas, in Kansas City, and other areas? And how do we take the opportunities that we have that we sometimes take for granted and look for ways to pull those outside of our normal course, but bring new people in? One of the things that we did at this year's NBAA convention is on the third day of the convention, which is normally a fairly slow day. People start saying, boy, it's been a long week, I'm ready to go. We use that as an opportunity to have a career day, to bring in several hundred students and have them talk to a former lead pilot for the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels and Gene Cernan, and get excited about a career opportunity. That's the opportunity that all of us have every day, but it requires us to not just go about our business with blinders on, but look for ways to expose people to what we do and who we are and how we operate, because at the end of the day, I think we've got a really good story to tell. And I think that telling that story well and telling it often and enlisting others as part of that is really fundamental to our success at working with the government, at working with the EPA on finding a replacement for lead. Part of that assumes that they're going to want there to be a general aviation community, and getting it done right is the important thing.
Yeah, that's a great segue. You know, we take a look at AOPA. They've had, the organization has had General Aviation Service America and some high-profile people that get out there and say, this is how I use my airplane, and I'm in support of it. And some people that work with airplanes. During the LASP hearings, we heard people get up and talk about how they use their airplanes and, you know, in support of commerce. I mean, Fred Gammon got up from Qualcomm, talked about how they use their airplanes, and certainly we heard from the Kings and a number of other people. Why is it, what is it going to take for the business aircraft community, corporate America, to get up and go, by gosh, we use these airplanes, they're good for commerce, they're good for America. What's it going to take to break down those walls and get the Qualcomms, the ConocoPhillips, the ExxonMobils, the Intels of this world to get up, stand up, and be counted?
Well, I think there's a cultural shift that is underway. I think for a long time, a lot of people in our community, a lot of companies in our community, felt it was really important to be discreet, to be stealth, to be unseen and unheard. Just let us do our business. We'll just stay off the radar screen. And I think what we have found over the course of several years is that we don't really get that option. Whether it is environmental groups or people promoting user fees or whoever it is, we're out there. We're part of the public consciousness. We're part of the debate. And we can either try to ignore it and let them define who we are, or we can actively define ourselves. And that's really what we've been trying to do over the course of we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of No Plane, No Gain, about getting people to talk about what the airplane means to them. And we have seen, we put together a video at NBAA that we showed in Dayton, Ohio this summer, where people started talking about their airplane, how they use it. Everybody from John Deere to a lighting company in Oskaloosa, Iowa. And it's clear that for a lot of people and a lot of companies, large and small, the airplane is just fundamental to the business model. It's fundamental to the community. It couldn't operate without it. But we haven't really told that story enough. And what we're beginning to see is communities and companies and individuals are beginning to recognize we've got to stand up and we've got to talk about it. And what we see as an NBAA, GAMA, all of our associations at a national level, it's our responsibility to help define the debate, to provide the talking points. But the success or failure of those programs is going to largely depend on whether our community embraces them, lives them, and becomes, as I said before, kind of advocates and ambassadors for our industry. Because at the end of the day, we're 5 or 6 people representing 5 or 6 associations operating out of a single location. The power and the strength of our community is in every congressional district, in every media market, in every community across the United States, real people, good people, doing great things with airplanes.